Hello, this is Manex Ibar. I'm a spiritual and consciousness guide. And today I wanted to talk about healing emotional and spiritual wounds by going into those realms and clearing that energy, as it's really important because it's in our society what's the most common cause of disease, and also just the lack of dealing with the emotions and spirit is what prevents us from optimizing our lives. So in a way, where are these emotional issues, and what are the spiritual connotations to the emotional issues? And basically there's a link that is called energy. And our energetic system is an aura around us. There's kind of like an egg-shaped aura. It's an electromagnetic field that is surrounding us. And there's 4 different types of ways that the aura can function depending on your mechanics or your genetics. And it stores enormous amounts of information. It is actually what interacts with people, with trees, with flowers, with the universe, basically, before it comes into contact with your body. So somehow you can feel when somebody is behind you and they haven't touched you, or you can feel, even when somebody's looking at you from behind you and you turn around and there they are looking at you. It's because the aura is actually picking up this information. And basically, emotions have a certain amount of information. So it's a chemical reaction inside the body, we know that, and the brain kind of enables that to be read, in a sense, on one level. And usually the chemical reaction is giving us a certain feeling, but there's also energetic information that the brain isn't really picking up. It's actually the aura. And then also the aura is connected to energy centers within the body. And a lot of people talk about 7 chakras, but actually there's been an evolution. So we have 9 energy centers that are in body. We have other chakras that are outside of our bodies that link us to the universe, the divine, and our soul groups, and even humanity. But basically inside us, we have 9 energy centers that are kind of like pumps, and they process energy as well and help the flow of this energy that's coming in from the aura and bringing it into the body. It's then processed, and each of these energy centers sends that energy and information into the body at the appropriate levels. So each center has different according endoplex systems and then organs that it helps to support. And it's also taking the information from those organs and endoplex systems and then pushing it back out into our aura to be stored and basically to interact with the universe. So this is the very quick and basic principles of energetics. And in a way, emotions are stored massively in our auric space and also in our bodies, including our organs. And a lot of times when we have too many unresolved emotions, like if we're repressing those emotions, we're putting tension in our physical body. And basically life is going to try to help you clear these emotions. Also, what can happen is that it starts going into your aura, and your aura has an interesting phenomena, which is that it's going to attract what it has in it so that you can resolve that and it becomes lighter again, or it clears the energetic blocks that are preventing it from being fluid. So in a sense, if you have, let's say, a lot of anger that's unresolved within you, you're going to attract a lot of people that also have a lot of anger. And so you're going to receive a lot of anger from people, and you're going to wonder why. And it's going to obviously trigger you to be more angry. And it kind of becomes this loop. Just like if you're a victim, you're going to attract a lot of people that are victims. It's almost like you have this like attracts like. And so that's how you bond actually with people, as you feel like they have similar auric fields of information, which is also why highly successful people bond with each other, because they're usually very clean in their aura, or they have the same programming and function in their aura, because they're not always clean, just to be clear. But they have similar aspects and conditioning, which means, programming or thought patterns and emotional patterns and even spiritual patterns. And so we attract the same kind of energy, but it's actually to resolve it and to move forward and ahead, which oftentimes can be hurtful if we don't understand that, because as we evolve, we oftentimes lose some of our best friends. We change, which is actually the whole point. It's to constantly change. Now, what is really beautiful is when you're in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a love relationship, and you change together, so you evolve together, and that's real progress, and it makes for an incredible union and deepening of a relationship. Oftentimes what happens is one changes and the other stays, and then massive fights and arguments can happen because the change is violent for one person, and they don't understand why they don't respond to the same behavior patterns as before. But actually part of the evolution is to shift. And so clearing basically emotions and patterns and old habits from our aura, from our subconscious, and then from our bodies helps us evolve, helps us move forward. It helps us change into higher elements of our function. So one of the things is kind of like the physical body. I talked about this in another podcast. You have to start by scanning your body and seeing where you are holding different emotions, and obviously looking at the negative emotions. There's different patterns of negative emotions that bring on other negative emotions, and you can find that online. There's a bunch of different charts that are out there, but you can kind of start with 5-6 of the basic core emotions, and you simply go into your body and relax and get into that meditative position. I like to lie down on the grass and feel very neutral, and with breath you ask, where is my anger, where is my guilt, where is my sadness, where is the feeling of separation, where's my bitterness, where do I feel lost, things of that nature. And you just ask your body to show you, and it'll kind of either feel like there's a flushing, pumping energy, heat or coldness that can appear at different places in your body. And just be patient with yourself. It doesn't come right away. You really need to take deep breaths. I would suggest at least 10 really deep breaths into your gut as you ask your body and you center your mind into your heart and start asking your body to show you where you hold your anger, for example, and where does that anger kind of move through your body when you are angry, and perhaps even think of a situation that made you angry, right? And so that you get angry again. And so you start seeing where your body tightens, where your body kind of flushes blood, where does your body create heat or cold, and then allow that to release. Just inform your body that it's okay. You don't have to hold this anymore. You can release it into the air, and through breath work again, deep breath work. Take in that deep breath, hold it, dissolve the energy as you're holding it, and then breathe back out as you extract that energy out into the air. A lot of people don't know this, but actually losing weight, it has a lot to do with breathing. And actually we get rid of a lot of our weight by the breathing out. It's quite fascinating in terms of the chemical compositions. Always new discoveries with science that fascinate. Anyways, so the same thing with emotions, holding on to emotions makes a lot of our bodies carry weight. And so the breath is one of the most powerful transformational tools that we have, especially when you're connected with your heart and you can forgive and you can be grateful and you can be in that space, right, where you can go deeper and forgive yourself, find gratefulness and acceptance, and that starts shifting the process, and then go through the different emotions. One of the biggest keys to emotional imbalance is the thought that we are separated. Separation is a very interesting thing. It's the illusion that we are alone, the illusion that we are disconnected from source, that we are not divine, that we are alone and separated as unique individuals. And that's actually terrible. We're always connected, but that's something that you need to really contemplate and truly realize. And it's actually really a beautiful, reconnected thought and feeling and understanding that can bring a lot of peace and a lot of healing. And it can start getting your energy to start flowing again. So obviously another way to clear emotions out of the body and out of the aura is through movement. Sports, boxing, running, doing jumping jacks, but being conscious that you're actually clearing emotions. That's the key. Think of your sadness, think of your anger, think of your feeling alone and disconnected from others. Think of, the guilt that's preventing you, and that's actually pride that's hidden and that you're not showing. Anyways, there's a lot of emotions. Just get back into your common emotional, let's say, triggers. And just, what did you live during the week or during the month or during the day that got you triggered, and go back to that in your mind. And then through the action of movement, clear it, let it go. It's really interesting because letting go of something is as simple as making a fist and then letting that fist go, letting it open, letting that energy move, and breathing through that to clear it. And so telling your body to clear that, it's that simple. But oftentimes we don't want to let it go because we've identified ourselves to that emotion, to that victim state. We want to blame the other. We want to, propagate and make them feel something that we're feeling, versus just allowing it to dissipate, allowing it to clear. And one thing that's helped me realize that is, the more that you propagate the information, the more you propagate, the more you get stuck yourself. And feeling that basically there's old karma there, there's old energies, there's links, and you want to clear those links as quickly as possible to liberate yourself, even at the cost of losing the relationship. And this is the key. Even at the cost of losing the relationship is what we need to face. And as soon as you do face that and you're willing to lose the relationship but liberate yourself from these heavy emotions, you do. And oftentimes what happens is the relationship gets better. Now, if you do have to lose the relationship, it's because the other person is unwilling to change as well, unwilling to adapt to your own internal change. And then that's on them, right? And obviously that gets complicated with love partners or with family, because you can't really lose your family. And this is why family is so tricky and so powerful at the same time. But it's exactly where the hardest work is. And yet, fortunately, at the same time, it's where your deepest growth patterns can evolve from. And, some people are willing to separate from their family deeply because their family patterns are toxic and prevent them from evolving. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of heart of self-love to actually do that. And then some have really beautiful families where they don't need to do that, and the karma is much cleaner and the patterns are a little trickier, because all families do have patterns that prevent us from actually truly liberating ourselves. Even though maybe at the beginning it's very supportive, it's also very conditioning. So it conditions us to different patterns of belief systems, and emotional reactions come from those belief systems. And so we get triggered like our mom, like our dad, like our brother, whoever. And oftentimes it's our brother or sister or our parents that trigger us the most, right? And eventually you have to face that at some point. So you'll probably attract a lover that reminds you of your brother or your sister and has some of the same emotional patterns, and it's because you need to clear those. And so relaxing, going deep into your body and understanding how to clear that already from your body is the first step. Secondly, you can really go deeper into the energetic link, and almost with an imaginary scissors, just cut cords. We create these energetic cords with our energy centers and our auras to the other. So just imagine that you're cutting these cords, and however you want to imagine that, whether with scissors or just, you're pulling the cords, or you're freeing yourself from these connections and these ties, which actually is liberating energetically, is another step. That's the second step. And then the third step, which is more advanced, and at this point you might need a guide or a spiritual advisor or even a very evolved psychologist that can help you process the conscious awareness of why and what that brought you, that tie, that pattern, and how to release it and how to change that pattern into another more healthy pattern so that you can move into a different way of being, which is more free, more liberated, and not as heavy. So when you release these emotions, most of the time you get back into those emotions, and then there's a liberation, like a crying or a screaming or, deep sadness that shows up, and get into that emotion and allow it to, express itself deeply. Sometimes music helps to trigger that, and sometimes it's a film, that helps you process information. And this is healthy. And this is part of what art is about, is actually a massively incredible tool for therapy, emotional therapy, a subconscious, dumping, which if you actually ask a lot of artists, they say they need it for their life. They need to do their art to feel healthy, which actually is because they're liberating. As very sensitive souls, they're taking on all this energy from the world, from their friends, from their family, and they're liberating it through the process of creating art. And then eventually it moves into a different kind of art, which is more soulful and spiritual, where they're inspired by spirit and soul to basically create beauty as they've become more, in a way, clean and clear as channels, rather than clearing their stuff. And so art and art therapy is also massively important. And to me, art therapy is kind of a funny word because art is therapeutic. So doing art, and I think in our society, a lot of us aren't doing enough art and creative ventures on a daily basis. We're all very addicted to our sports, and that helps on the physical level, but the energetic subconscious level is really through the creative process. And oftentimes that fear is of doing art, and what's going to come out is exactly the work that needs to be done internally within the emotional and the subconscious. And we fear it because we don't know it. In shamanism, we have the wheel of life, the medicine wheel, And the emotions in the subconscious are on the west side. It's the darkness. It's where the sun sets at the west, and it's where the dark spirits arise. And at first, we're very scared of all those dark spirits, but they're actually where you grow and you mature the most, is by facing those fears, by facing the darkness and putting light into it, which actually brings us into higher consciousness, higher awareness, and that's where we start finding our integrity. So very, very important work to do is to clear these emotions and actually really gain the conscious awareness of what those emotions were bringing us and bringing us through, and holding, where are you holding those emotions in your body so that you can liberate that and raise in frequency, raise in awareness, and raise in consciousness. And this is the path of liberation. This is the path of becoming wise as you deal with your dark sides. I hope that was inspiring, and I look forward to sharing more next time. Again, my name is Manex Ibar. You can find out a little bit more on my site, manexibar.com, manexibar.com, or check out the Quintessence course or some of these meditations that help you clear emotions and connect you to your spirit. Thank you, and blessings.